morning, everyone. I am so excited today to have Colleen Kardasz in my office. She is the Assistant Director at the Loudoun County Department of Economic Development. Colleen, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. I'm very happy to be here and excited to talk about Loudoun.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit before we go to talk about a lot of things today. Can you please tell me a little bit about you, your background, and how long you've been with the Loudoun Economic Development, and what led you to be there?
So I joined economic development 8 years ago this August, which is hard for me to believe because I feel like I blinked and 8 years have gone by because we live in such a vibrant community, never bored. Our job is different every day, and this community is growing so much. So it's been a real joy to be here for 8 years. But I came from the Midwest. I had spent most of my life in Ohio, and I had a background in small business development and marketing, but I'm also a lawyer by training, passed the bar in Ohio. So I was kind of looking for something that would bring all of these things together. So I have this legal background, I've been working with businesses, I actually spent a lot of time working with small and mid-sized manufacturers with their export. And I also had this background in marketing, and I thought, what is out there that brings all of this together in a way that I could feel like I was making an impact, that I was doing something that mattered at the end of the day. And so I started looking, looked all over the country, and this job with Loudoun County opened up, and I thought, why not? And it worked out. And so I moved my family here. I actually accepted the job, and 3 weeks later, we packed up from Ohio with 2 small children, moved to Loudoun. As I was telling you earlier, my first day at Loudoun County was my oldest daughter's first day of kindergarten at LCPS. And now 8 years later, I work for the county. My husband works for Loudoun County Public Schools. I have a middle schooler, elementary school. We live in Loudoun. We support Loudoun in every way we can, and it's truly become our politics where we love to live, learn, work, and play.
I'm gonna start a little bit more about involving. What do you believe are the most critical drivers of economic development in a region these days?
I think economic development is something most people hear and we read about in the paper, but we don't really know what it is. And it's never one thing. In Loudoun, because we are so successful, and we have known success, and we've known growth for so many years, it's easy to think that is all about that one big industry. We all know that everything is about the data centers. And the data centers are a massive driver of our revenue and our tax rates. However, economic development is the entirety of the economy. So it is everything from your small businesses, from your micro businesses, your home businesses, to your major corporations, to your federal contractors, to your federal agencies. It is how all of those businesses interact with each other. So economic development drivers are, do those businesses have the ability to be here, stay here, and grow here? That's the economic driver. Do their people want to live here? When somebody lives and works in a community, then their money is supporting it all day long. So they are stopping for coffee at the local coffee shop, and then they're working in one of our office buildings, and then they're going to the grocery store, going out to dinner. The kids are playing in a local sports league. So that constant evolution is what the economic driver is. It's your people. At the end of the day, it's the people who call your community home, whether for their residence or their business.
That's very, very good. Tell us a little bit, I know there's a lot going on right now with you guys. Tell us a little bit about the different programs you have and what's going on. Like, I love this, something like about learning.
So we have a lot of signature programs. So at our core, our job is to attract, retain, and grow commercial businesses of all sizes, of all types, in all locations. But to do that, we recognize that there are specific needs at different times. So, for example, we have the Work in Loudoun program, and that's meant to help our employers find the resources that they need to attract and retain talent. And so Nancy Banko in our office, hi Nancy, is a great job of working with companies to help them identify what might be missing in their ecosystem. But then we have a new program called the Loudoun Resilience Initiative that's tied to Work in Loudoun. And that's acknowledging that right now there's a lot of uncertainty with changes at the federal level. We as a region, Northern Virginia has always felt recession-proof because of the federal government. So to have that same entity be the cause of uncertainty is difficult. And we are still understanding the actual impact. So you're going to hear a lot of information and a lot of data points about the impact of federal shutdowns, of layoffs. And the truth is, those numbers are very hard to actually get to. So what the Loudoun Resilience Initiative does is create a one-stop shop for those federal workers to find employment through Work in Loudoun, to get resources from the county. The county has amazing resources for residents to help, because we don't know what tomorrow might bring. We don't know the full effect of these changes, but we know that we have seen layoffs. So if you're familiar with what a WARN notice is, it's what a company files when they are not to work. We're not seeing as many as other communities, but it is happening. So our job is to be available with as many resources as possible. So that's the Loudoun Resilience Initiative. And then in 2023, we started a program called Launch Loudoun. I'm very, very proud of this program and the team that runs it. But it's a program specifically for small businesses and entrepreneurs to offer no-cost educational opportunities around 5 key areas: finance, legal, workforce and employment, sales and marketing, and ownership and leadership. Because at the end of the day, we know whether you're opening a coffee shop or a cybersecurity company, you need to be able to do your books.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to hire people.
Those 5.
Yeah.
So those are the best, the number 1 5 keys.
Yeah, and you need to take care of yourself as an owner and a leader. You need to constantly be evaluating yourself. So we offer one-on-one office hours every week. We have monthly lunch and learns on key topics. We do networking. We partner with a lot of organizations to promote their programs. And the idea is, as a Loudoun business, we want you to reach out and get the help you need. But tell us what that is, we'll bring it.
Because we don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Nobody say anything. We don't know.
We don't know. And so it's a constantly updated calendar of events and opportunities to try to connect and make that connection. I think that's another really important piece about what makes Loudoun so special. Whether you go to a Loudoun Chamber event or you come to a Launch Loudoun event, you're going to be with people. You're going to have the opportunity to meet people and to learn from each other and to connect. And where so many other communities are still relying on all virtual, we said no. That human connection, human connection is critical. So let's get back together. Let's be in a room. Let's share what we know, share our questions, and then as a county staff, we say, okay, we'll go help find those answers. That's what we're here to do, is help make those connections. And so that's a lot of what we're doing, but we're also working very hard to diversify the economy. We hear this phrase all the time. So again, I know we're not talking about data centers today, but we are constantly trying to attract other types of companies. But the truth is, Northern Virginia is a hub for tech companies and companies that work with, within, or because of the data centers. They have a relationship that we really can't ignore. And so those companies, we're out talking to them in other states, other countries. We actually just had a team come back from Europe, meeting with companies about coming to Loudoun County and trying to understand what they need and how we can help them make Loudoun. So a lot going on at all times.
Yes, and behind the scene kind of like, we don't know, we know at the time when we need to know. How are you seeing the economy? We know, Colleen, it's a lot going on, and everything that hit from January, like with a lot of changes and a lot going on, and a lot of client, our client, we have a lot of our client, they are on the federal jobs, and that's impact also the businesses. And I say that it's not only about, people get laid off too, but also is impact the businesses, especially we are like us or other probably people who's listening who are on the service industry.
Yeah.
So how we're seeing the economy, you think from, I would say, we are almost mid of the year. What you're seeing, what's going on? Is that gonna be kind of stable right now, or there is any relief going to happen, or where we're going?
I think that what we're going to continue to see is a ripple effect of those big national changes. We were already dealing with inflation. We were already dealing with a changing economy, right? There was threat of recessions long before that. What we're seeing is, because Loudoun is a service-based economy, as is most of Northern Virginia, we're starting to see that ripple effect where suppliers are raising prices because of the tariffs. Not necessarily the Loudoun company, right? They are getting supplies, they are getting inventory from a company who took the tariff on, and now they have to raise their prices. And so that ripple effect, we think is still coming. We're still seeing how that's playing out across most of our companies. But then you take the other side where Loudoun has a lot of federal workers who live here and have historically traveled to other places to work. As their jobs are impacted, that will have an effect. Now, what we're hoping to do is show people the other jobs that are open in the area. One of the things that you often hear is, well, there's X number of jobs open in the region and X number of jobs laid off, so we're fine.
Yeah.
However, the crossover between skills in those two jobs is very low. At one point, there was a study that indicated it might only be 10% of the open positions matched the positions that had been lost.
Yeah.
So that's a scary place to be in, but Loudoun's economy is still very stable and strong. We have a very good financial basis in the county to continue to offer services, to support what we may need to do. Unfortunately, we don't know that. We're trying to gather as much information as we can, to listen to the companies as things are happening, and to be responsive. For Loudoun, we've been working for a number of years on growing our commercial real estate portfolio. We drive around Loudoun, and we have a lot of we have a lot of smaller office, flex industrial, a lot of retail, but what we don't have is a lot of office, and we haven't yet built out those metro stations. That's our real opportunity. And so while it might seem counterintuitive to be focused on that right now in the midst of uncertainty, this is exactly what you do. Because when the economy turns, our hope is that we have those spaces available. And we can build post-COVID spaces. We can build the types of offices and environments that people want to be in. And that's going to be really critical for Loudoun's future, is that we continue to build those spaces at Metro, build them as urban environments with higher density. And that does two things. That helps us attract companies, right? That companies want their people to live close by. We need a different type of housing. We need a diversity of housing. But it also relieves the development pressure on the transition area in Western Loudoun. And it's really important that we continue to preserve and protect our rural policy area. That's probably one of the biggest questions is, will that ever be open to development? That is not the intent. It's not allowed under zoning. But we need to give opportunity in Eastern Loudoun so that we can protect, the beauty and the agrarian nature of Western Loudoun.
I hope so. From the time you have been in your job, anything, I know there is a lot of accomplishments you did, guys, to help us, for the businesses too, especially. But is that something during your time, something was special to your heart, it did happen, and you always been so proud of?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't be any prouder of the work we did within those first 18 months, 2 years of COVID, when we did Loudoun is Ready, and we did multiple grant funds. So when the world shut down in 2020, we were one of the first communities to have a grant program up and running before there were any federal dollars involved.
That's true.
We did it manually. Don't recommend. Do not recommend that process. But we just went to the board and said, listen, this is the money we have in our budget that would have been for travel and business development and these other things. That's not going to happen. Can we make it a grant fund instead? And they supported that. And so we very quickly, we had never done a grant. We'd never managed a grant. We didn't have any grant staff, but we said, this is what people need. We need to help people keep the lights on. And we took our whole team and put everybody on the telephone. And so people said, well, how did you reach out to, how did you know? How did you talk to businesses? And I laughed because it was so simple. We picked up the phone. We grabbed all of our databases and every phone number we could find, and every single member of that staff started calling, started emailing, trying to get a hold of people. And then we did that first round of grant funding. And when somebody calls you and says that you literally kept the lights on that month, that you helped them keep somebody employed, there's nothing more gratifying than that. Because
I was one of them.
Yes, I remember.
I was one of them because I remember, and thank you for that. It was very, very, very hard time and difficult time on us because again, I'm on the service industry, and who wants in COVID time employees go to their homes? And I appreciate you very much because I remember we were contacted and we did what we need to do and we got the grant and we survived, and that's what keep me probably my office open until this minute today, because it was very hard time to, and I was worried. I was about the time to start to feel my profit start, and we got hit, and with all your support and help for us, it's really keep us opening my door, because I was always positive, and I said it's gonna be a time, it's gonna pass on, and we're gonna go back stronger of where we've been, and that's what happened. So I was one of them, and probably I'm talking about hundreds of businesses in the county. So we appreciate you on that very, very much.
Thank you.
That was a save businesses. You basically save businesses.
That was the whole goal, was to just do what we could for as long as we could, and then continue to utilize those federal funds for several more years to keep helping. And what we learned in that also was what directly led to Launch Loudoun being created, because as we were talking to companies, as we were doing the grant process, we realized that there were a lot of small businesses that were lacking those foundational elements, didn't have a business bank account, didn't have a business banking relationship, and so they couldn't get PPP or they were last in line. And that's probably the first time we really started to worry, because we were trying to be a gap filler, provide a small grant until somebody could go get that larger amount of money. And when so many businesses couldn't, we thought, what's going on? Why aren't there more businesses applying? Where's the help? And we realized that there wasn't as much out there in Loudoun as we thought, and a lot of the organizations that were supporting small businesses were very busy in DC, in Fairfax, in Arlington, and not actually making their way to Loudoun. So we're the fastest growing community in the country, and we have been gaining population as some of our counterparts are losing, and yet these organizations were not coming to Loudoun. And so we just decided, well, then we'll do it. And that's what I love about Loudoun, is if there's a good idea, there's a need, and we're willing to do it, our board of supervisors will always support us. And so we said, okay, we'll do it. And they said, okay, go do it. And 2 years later, we're doing it.
It will come to the trust too. I mean, that's what it is too. So anything you're trying to accomplish by the end of the year or 2026? Any new plan, or anything coming up, something exciting?
There's always something exciting, just can't always talk about that. I think that what we want to do through 25 and 26 is really start to make progress on those metro areas. And again, it's hard because to the outside observer, it looks like nothing's happening. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's just, as you said, it's behind the scenes. So before a shovel can go in the ground, before a building can go up, you could have anywhere from 3 to 15 years of work to acquire the land and do all the development and do all the studies that need to be done. And we're talking about hundreds of acres in a time where it's kind of expensive to borrow money, where construction costs have gone up because of the tariffs. So all that work is happening, and we're very, very close, and we're hoping to see shovels in the ground soon, and get those metro stations really activated and buildings starting to go up. So that's a primary goal for the office. We're also working really hard to continue to support the diverse type of companies that we have. Again, through all of our programming, whether it's Loudoun Made, Loudoun Grown, and support that we give to our rural companies, or Launch Loudoun, or Work in Loudoun, it's really about that constant communication and understanding if something has shifted, do we need to shift as well? Do we need to add new programming, and just staying flexible, because we don't know what the next couple of years is going to bring. So we want to be available and ready for that.
My last question for today, probably just an advice you can give for all small businesses in Loudoun County, with the, how you did mention about the future. What is the shape of the future for the local and regional economic development, and how do you think we get prepared for that as a business owner in Loudoun County?
Yeah, so I'll speak straight to the businesses on this one. The most important thing you can do is ask for help. You don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. But those foundational elements we talked about, finance, HR, sales and marketing, legal, and ownership leadership, are critical, and you can't put them off. If you are having concerns, if you're starting to see changes in your profit and loss because of what's happening, or maybe you don't know why, come sit down and talk to us. We'll get you connected to a resource. We'll help you work through that. And I do want to mention a program that's going to open any day. It's called the Technical Services Pilot Program. We'll probably come up with a better name for it. That's just its internal name. But what this is going to do is, if you come to us and sit down in a one-on-one session and we work with you, and we help identify a need of your business in one of those 5 areas, we're going to help pay for that. So we're going to subsidize up to 10 hours of work, where we will help get you connected to a service provider.
I love that.
Who's also a small business, and help you fix that issue. Let's find what's stopping you from growth. Let's stop any loss that you're having. But let's identify it, help you meet and connect and hire a service provider, and then the county will help subsidize that process, because we know how important it is that you get the help you need when you need it. And then that information that we get from this pilot program is going to help us determine where we take these programs next, what we do. We can't always offer grants, and we know that.
Absolutely.
We've been very fortunate to use federal funds to do that. That's not always going to be the case. But what we learn in these programs, what we learned from the grant program, created Launch Loudoun. What we learn in this program might lead to the next program, might help us establish something. And in the meantime, we'll use that money to really help fill gaps. So if I can give an example, let's say you come to us and you say, I need help with sales and marketing. My sales are down. What we might identify is that you need help pricing your product. What we might identify is that you actually need somebody to come in and help fix your books, help put in a system where you can better manage your revenue and your expenses. We would then help connect you to an accountant, to a specialist, and you will retain that person. They'll come up with a project plan for you. They'll tell you, let's say this is a 20-hour.
Because I tell everybody, in businesses is all about numbers. I know my background is finance, but it's all about the numbers.
Yeah, you do, and it's really. I always joke, because I'm a word person. My background is not in finance; it's in communication. And I always say, if I can see that there's a problem with your numbers, then we have a problem, and we need to get that fixed. But it is the most critical piece of any small business.
Absolutely.
If you don't have customers, you don't have a business.
Absolutely.
You have to pay your people. You have to pay your bills. Yeah. So we won't always have grant programs, but we'll always have support to offer. And this county has tons of resources. So if nothing else, we can help get you connected to the right people.
Thank you very much, Colleen, today for your time.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Great information. We are going to put a couple of links for you to look at it. Reach out to Colleen for any question, any concern. I can't tell you how much they have been in the past a help for me to where I am right now. I have a successful business, but I will tell you that you have been huge help on us. And anytime you reach out to them, you got the answer right away. So we appreciate you for everything you do, guys.
Thank you, Natasha. I
Thank you, and
appreciate
thank you
it.
for
Thank
your
you.
time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.